President Trump ready to get back to work after his first Christmas as Commander-in-Chief.
President tweeting yesterday, I hope everyone is having a great Christmas. Then tomorrow it's back to work in order to make America great again.
After the U.S. announces the Israeli embassy move, Israel now in talks with 10 more countries to do the same.
Jeff Flake had made some comments saying that Trump's policies or conduct is inviting a Republican challenger for 2020.
It may be Jeff Flake plus one, for a table of two. It's not a big growing group at this point.
A potential shakeup near the top of the FBI. Could Andrew McCabe's possible retirement end the Russia investigation?
So what we really want to know is, was the dossier the basis for weaponizing the intelligence community against a political campaign? This would be the greatest scandal, certainly of my lifetime.
Florida deputy sharing this picture of a boy named Jacob, giving him a homemade wooden American flag. Jacob says his plan was to give flags to any law enforcement officers that he saw.
I wish they had cut early, though, because Todd was breaking it down next to me. So.
Your leg was going.
I was, but you were really. Next time I'm going to secretly film this.
As they said when Elaine did that dance in Seinfeld, it's a seizure set to music.
It was a reenactment of Todd's dance.
America is glad, though, that TV's Todd Pyro was not on the screen.
Are they,
it wasn't I don't know, maybe. We'll see.
I think they missed out.
No, welcome to Fox and Friends. We appreciate you being here on this Wednesday, the day after Christmas, December 26th. Brian, Steve, and Ainsley are off, so we are your humble fill-ins this morning, asking you for your pictures to come out, and they've been pouring in, like this one from Jason, whose toddler, Aurora, opens her gift with a scowl. We don't see Aurora. There we go.
There they are.
Oh, see? As the baby Mary is going nuts, she's happy. Aurora's like,
she's not having it.
I'm not having it yet.
Let's go to the next one. I'm going to spare that young child. Grandpa Joe reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" to the kiddies. How cool is that?
Yeah, very festive looking. I love it.
And we've got this one from Anthony, whose son is deployed in Kuwait. This Christmas, he writes, we miss him terribly, but he chose to defend our freedom. Keep sending us your photos from Christmas, and we're going to be showing them all morning long. And thank you so much to his son's service.
I want to ask Pete something. Pete, of the three of us, obviously, you were the one that was deployed during the holidays. Quickly, describe what that feeling is like.
Yeah, I mean, it's bittersweet, right? I mean, you want to be with your family, you want to be home, but you know why you're there, and you get this amazing moment to... Everyone's in the same boat. The entire unit is stuck on a base or stuck on patrol. I did it in Guantanamo Bay. We delivered eggnog, on a four-wheeler. And then in Iraq, our first sergeant dressed up as Santa Claus and went out on patrol. I mean, you find funny ways to sort of make the fact that everyone's away happen. So we've asked you to send your photos, and you have on Christmas Eve. We really appreciate it. Brian, Steve, and Ainsley, you should email us your Christmas photos.
Yes.
friends@foxnews.com, and maybe we'll show them on the program.
I'd love to see it. Ainsley's little girl is the cutest thing ever.
She really is.
Lots of pictures of her.
That's right. But we've got some news this morning as well. President Trump, fresh off a working Christmas weekend at Mar-a-Lago, already has his eye on bipartisanship this morning.
Griff Jenkins joins us live in D.C. with that and what is ahead. Hey, Griff.
Good morning, guys. Well, the president and first lady may remain at Mar-a-Lago through New Year's, but that doesn't mean they're not back to work. The president already tweeting this morning. He says, based on the fact that the very unfair and unpopular individual mandate has been terminated as part of our tax cut bill, which essentially repeals overtime Obamacare, the Democrats and Republicans will eventually come together and develop a great new health care plan. That certainly suggests that we could be looking at another run at doing something on health care. And that's not all. The president also saying that he wants to tackle infrastructure, something he believes could get bipartisan support, trying to fix those roads, bridges, and tunnels across the country, which are badly in need of repair. Meanwhile, the White House says the president has also invited Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to Camp David in January to make sure they are all on the same page. And that long list of things to do also includes defense spending, immigration, DACA, what to do about the children brought here illegally, and disaster relief, something that they didn't finish, $81 billion to fix the problems left by Mother Nature. And lastly, guys, yesterday down at Mar-a-Lago, the president and first lady were providing hundreds of meals, including turkey, stuffing, and gravy for Secret Service members, military, and local law enforcement who are working on Christmas. One law enforcement officer saying, didn't want to be quoted, but he said, listen, what he did was just amazing. So it's back to work and time to get busy.
Oh, it's very
Thanks,
cool.
Griff.
I mean, the man owns an entire resort, and he can open up a ballroom and feed all the guys guarding him, because while he gets a Christmas, they're out there, like so many law enforcement,
Right.
first responders, everybody working on that day. A great gesture.
It's a very respectful gesture.
All right, guys. If America and the world were a sports team, America, you will get the C for being the captain, because we're sort of in charge right now, and we are leading the way on so many fronts. And so I want to ask you, there's really two things. One, it's the embassy in Israel, and two, quite frankly, with the United Nations chipping away at their bloated infrastructure. Let me ask you, first to the Israeli embassy. What does it mean to the world when we step up and take a position where we say, this is what we're doing, this is the way it's going to be? What do you think that does for us?
Well, it's the only way anything really changes, and that's why the big news out this morning is the fact that the Israelis are reporting, Israel's reporting that up to 10 countries may actually join us in moving their embassies from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem inside Israel. And it's because without America taking that step, especially in light of the anti-Israeli, anti-Semitic view that most of the world takes, that's never going to change. But now that we recognize reality, the eternal truth that Jerusalem is the capital. You've got Guatemala, a few other countries have said they will, and then 10 others that are still anonymous right now, potentially in talks to do that. This is America first in action. This is American leadership. Leadership is not voting with everybody else. Leadership is not saying you're going to do something, which has been U.S. policy forever, and then not actually executing it. President Trump took the bold step. Others follow real leadership. That is what America first looks like.
Well, and that anti-Israel bias you mentioned is also shown at the UN. And there was, in fact, 100 senators that had signed on to a letter back in April expressing that concern of this anti-Israel bias. But now UN Ambassador Nikki Haley and the Trump administration is saying no more. She's actually said that they're going to cut $285 million. And she put out a statement. And what she said was, we will no longer let the generosity of the American people be taken advantage of or remain unchecked. You can be sure we'll continue to look at the ways to increase the UN's efficiency while protecting our interests. So this is a really important step, because far too long have we seen Congress, we've seen presidents complain about the UN, and now Nikki Haley as a UN ambassador is saying, you know what, we're actually going to take action on this. Yeah, we're going to roll back the funding. So, you know, if you want to vote against us, you want to try to embarrass us on the national stage, well, guess what? We're rolling back our money.
We're going to take your name, and then we're going to take our wallet out. And yes, my wallet is...
You got to check out this thing. It's amazing.
It's a $100 bill. I got it at the dollar store.
You can hand that over to me.
I kind of like it. No, I won't be handing it over to anybody.
I'll hang on to that.
But the reality is we have a big wallet. We fund 22% of the UN's budget. And by saying we're going to take $285 million and pull it out of the budget, that's a significant statement. And it says we're not going to stand back and be lambasted by this body. We're not going to take a step like move our embassy, then watch you take a show vote to make us look bad, and then just sit back and take it. It's a total indictment. Yeah, here's the wallet, by the way. It's a $100 bill. But I got it for $1. It's a total indictment of the international system, which at this point is rigged against free countries like the U.S. and Israel in favor of smaller countries that want to impugn us. That's what the UN has turned into.
Well, can I ask you this? Why, under the Obama administration, for those 8 years, did we take a, oh, we're scared, sorry, we're U.S., sorry, we're big in the world? Why did we take them when we act with a measure of strength? The world respects us.
Well, and it's also, this is President Trump following through with moving the embassy, following through simply with what so many presidents said that they were going to do, as I mentioned earlier in the show. You have President Clinton, you have President Obama, you have President George W. Bush. Congress has also said as much. So you have so many people saying that this is exactly what should be done. And now President Trump is saying, we're going to get this done.
That's
we're
right,
going to follow through on those promises.
To answer your question, it's because Barack Obama was baptized in the Blame America First policy in academia and elsewhere. I mean, he doesn't believe America's exceptional and a leader in the world, and therefore he pulled us back from the world. It's that simple. So, and President Trump has very much changed that.
Another never Trumper is Senator Jeff Flake, or at least Senator for another couple minutes. And he had the following to say with regard to the 2020 race for the White House. Take a listen.
I do believe if the president is running for re-election, if he continues on the path that he's on, that's going to leave a huge swath of voters looking for something else. He's probably inviting a Republican challenge as well, but certainly an independent challenge, yes.
And when asked about whether Jeff Flake himself would be in the ring, he said, I don't look that forward ahead, but he didn't say no. To Mr. Flake, I asked the question, you are projected to lose Arizona, your state,
Bingo.
by tremendous amounts of votes. You think you're then going to go win the presidency?
And Todd, you took the words out of my mouth, because Senator Flake was expected to have a tough primary, expected to have a tough general election. So it's sort of interesting for him to be making those comments, considering the fact that he himself was going to face a real uphill battle electorally.
Find me this real big swath of Republicans that don't like President Trump. If you've been to a single grassroots event or talked to any voters that don't live in the island of Manhattan, you realize there's an incredible amount. His support amongst his base is even stronger today than it was before. So maybe in some think tanks, maybe in some newsrooms, maybe some Republicans that want to be loved by the left-wing press, they'll say, oh, President Trump is terrible, we're going to run against him. There is no swath of voters. They're not there. They're going to get 1%, 2%, 3% in a primary and get beat by Trump if the president continues to do what he's doing right now. So these are foolish words from an ever-Trumper who's
And
never
to
going to give
that
up.
point, Pete, you have a situation where you go to these parts of the country and you realize President Trump is beloved by these people. He can't do a lot wrong. And while you may say, okay, everybody in the Republican Party is realizing now, they weren't all on the Trump train originally. They have gotten on the Trump train because they see if they don't, this doesn't behoove them for their political career.
Senator Flake just didn't get
All
the
right,
memo.
we're being told to move on, and we need to hear the headlines. So, Jillian, what do we need to know?
All right, guys, so we're talking about extreme weather. I mean, we're talking it's cold in New York, but a lot of places across the country are dealing with extreme whiteout conditions, blizzard-like weather pounding the Northeast and Midwest right before millions of Americans head back home after Christmas. The Boston Logan International Airport almost impossible to see through a blanket of snow, and more than 21 inches of snow hitting Erie, Pennsylvania, breaking a Christmas Day record. Drivers in St. Louis, Missouri navigating slick roads for their holiday commutes. And as a result of that weather, a packed JetBlue flight skids off the runway coming in for a landing in Boston. The plane slipping and spinning 180 degrees before finally coming to rest. Passengers say it felt like the plane was doing donuts, but they praised the pilot and crew for how they handled the situation. Everyone on board the flight from Georgia safely evacuated. The plane had to be towed to the terminal. It wasn't pretty, but it doesn't matter because the Philadelphia Eagles now have home field advantage throughout the NFL playoffs.
Direction made from 35. That one's heading down the middle. And good! With 22 seconds.
Yes, kicker Jake Elliott sealing the deal in the fourth quarter against the Oakland Raiders. The Eagles go on to win 19-10. And to the AFC, the Steelers dropping a lump of coal in the Texans' stocking. Pittsburgh running all over Houston 34-6. But the one bright spot for the Texans, take a look. An amazing touchdown catch by receiver DeAndre Hopkins, batting the ball around, then turning around just in time to make the grab. As I was reading that, I heard some boos from behind me over there.
Because you're insufferable right
Pyro.
now. You're completely insufferable. I mean,
You know
it's
what?
ridiculous. I'm hopping on
Get on the Vikings.
I'm hopping on the Vikings.
I'll see you in the NFC
because I can't
Championship.
cheer your Eagles. I can't do
I'm
that.
a Redskins fan, but we're no threat to anyone.
Let's
so
be
it's
clear. No kneelers on the Vikings. I don't know if the
No kneelers on the Eagles.
Really? Okay.
Fist raisers. No
Oh,
kneelers.
okay.
Yeah.
Kneel free. We'll take it. Thanks, Jillian. Appreciate it.
Coming up, also a potential shakeup near the top of the FBI. Deputy Director Andrew McCabe's possible retirement and the Russia investigation. Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert joins us live to react next.
A potential major shakeup towards the top, very top of the FBI, as Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, otherwise known as Andy in those text messages, is reportedly set to retire early next year after being grilled on the Hill twice for 7.5 hours about anti-Trump bias within the agency.
We have GOP Congressman Louis Gohmert, who is a member of the House Judiciary Committee, who's with us now to give us some reaction to that announcement that he may retire. And of course, Andrew McCabe has been at the center of great controversy. His wife was the one that received political donations from Governor Terry McAuliffe, a close Clinton ally. He was also part of that email exchange between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, talking about the insurance policy as well. So what are your thoughts on this potential retirement and what it means for the overall investigation?
Well, I sat in on questioning last week of Andy McCabe, and that was supposed to be confidential. I won't betray that confidentiality, but he doesn't remember some things the same way that Mueller and some of the others do, but he can't go fast enough. Anybody that has that much disrespect for the Republican Party, for the President of the United States, this goes way beyond just having a political opinion like everybody does. This is things that affect your judgment. So Mueller, I have said since day one, since he was appointed, he's bad news. He's out for a scalp. He would love to get Trump's scalp. He would love to be the hero of the left to take out Donald Trump. He will do everything he can to do that. And Mueller is not going to be deterred by these people falling around him. He wants a scalp, and he'd love to get POTUS. If he cannot get the president, he will, like we've seen, he'll take a Mike Flynn, and it was kind of sad the way that all happened.
Sure.
But we're in some dangerous water right now. Mueller's going forward.
Congressman, take us behind those doors. I mean, I would been very fascinating to watch any portion of those 7.5 hours. I know you can't betray confidentiality of what was said, but some of these public things we've talked about, the donations to his wife's campaign, the text messages that refer to insurance policy, what he did in the Clinton email investigation. I assume all those questions were asked. And what was your overall takeaway, his disposition? I mean, did you walk away really mistrustful, or was he able to answer some things?
Well, from things we already knew, I carried in some distrust. What we know is factual about